Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the TGIF Business Networking Hangout. Happy New Year 2015, first day back from work. Woo, woo, woo. So today we have a really great show. We're going to talk about the SEO recipe for success in 2015. I've got a really great special guest, Jim Ault, joining us. And Jim, if you out there are anybody who watches TGIF kind of regularly or joins us in the green room, you might remember Jim. He's been on a few different shows, usually when we're talking about video marketing topics. And he also kind of likes to join us in the green room and then not go on camera. So he's really a great business networker behind the scenes as well. And he's got a lot of really great advice for people who want to learn how to use YouTube, video marketing, Google Plus in conjunction with their website or even on their own to create a great presence for themselves and create a great following. And he's really very helpful. He has said himself, and I'll let him tell you this in just a little bit, that he's not really doing this for business so much, but it's more just a passion for him at this moment. So we'll see if that changes in the near future. We're going to get started with having our guests introduce themselves. First, we're going to have Pamela Zeman, who also has been a great guest on TGIF. Pamela, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Elemental Cuisine.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I love your hat, Melanie. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my name's Pamela Zeman, and I'm with Elemental Cuisine. I help people transition out of this sad diet. I want to say standard American diet, but it's really standard Western diet, into a healthier plant-based lifestyle. And it's really been awesome.
And I highly recommend that you catch Pamela's Hangouts when she has them. They're a lot of fun. She holds up these beautiful foods, and we see how pretty they are and how nutritious they are, and how she gives us examples of how easy it is to make a quick snack that's actually good for us and tasty.
That's right, and I've got a couple authors coming on my show series coming up on the 14th of January. I don't know if you know Will Tuttle from the World Peace Diet and Meadow Lynn from the Mystic Cookbook. Just really great conversations coming up in January.
Awesome. We're looking forward to those. And next up we have Jim Ault. Jim's wow factor. Love your screen there. Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in this topic, and what do you do? How do you know about all this stuff?
Well, I've been at this, and Happy New Year, everybody. It's great to see Pamela and everyone here. And the reason that I got involved was I'm a computer programmer. I've been doing that for over 20 years as a consultant. So I didn't work for a company, but I worked for a lot of different organizations. So I got a broad experience in what it takes for small businesses to try and struggle and get through each year and do something beyond what they've already got without a lot of money. So when the internet happened and it exploded into you could have a website for free or for a small amount of money, everybody was jumping on board. So a group of people contacted me and said, come with us and help learn with us how to do this, because we want to maximize our monetization and other words that have now become part of our vernacular. So what was interesting is getting into the very beginnings of web, and back when Flash was the big deal, that was what it took to get business on the internet. In this transition, Flash was only for programmers, and I learned how to do Flash. But it was very hard. Now we have video these days, and the transition over these years has been very interesting, because now everybody can do the video and everybody can do their own website. There are a lot of pitfalls to that, because if you don't know, like for instance, how to drive from Tampa, Florida to New York City, and you just take off in your car, you don't know where you're going to end up. And it could be you never get to New York City, and you run out of gas, you run out of money, you run out of time. That's kind of how businesses get on the internet. They jump in, they think they know where they're going because it sounds good, and they get lost. So I was with a group of people who would help people find their way, and that's where we come into today's topics. What is one of the recipes, or 3 or 4 of the recipes, that you could use to find your way within your budget, within your time frame. So hopefully today we can show some examples that help people focus on what do they need to do on their journey.
Now, can you start off by telling us and explaining for anybody out there who doesn't know, what exactly is SEO? What do we mean when we talk about SEO? Why is it important, and what does it mean in terms of your business and your online presence?
Well, I usually give people the quick synopsis of, if you were to put up a billboard to advertise your business somewhere around your city, and you put it out where nobody drives their car, you wouldn't expect it to be a very good investment. You'd want it right on Main Street where everybody could see it. Unfortunately, that's an expensive billboard. So when you put something on the internet, like your website, millions of people may never ever see it because there's nothing to bring their attention to it. They wouldn't be able to find it simply by just rambling around the internet. So now you have search engines that help you get noticed if they think you're worthy. So now the trick is search engine optimization, which is the SEO, is getting the search engines to think you're worthy of being mentioned in their search results. So how do you become worthy when there's 4,000 people trying to be on the first page of Google in your category? Let's say you have a restaurant. Well, very crowded. How do you get to be on the first page of Google? Because if you're not, no one really knows you're around. So SEO is that search engine optimization, and there's more than one search engine.
And you mentioned everybody wants people to come to their website, but how important is it to have a website in terms of showing up in search results? Because we have now all these social avenues. We've got Twitter and Google Plus and Pinterest and Google Maps, and these social sites also show up in search results, right? So how important is it today necessarily to get a website? So if you are a restaurant, for example, and you are looking to have a website made, but your budget maybe doesn't support creating a website right away because you're just starting out, but you can create your own presence using Google Plus or using social media. Is that an acceptable way to start? In my own experience is that when I first started out as a solopreneur, I did not have a website. I didn't have the budget to create a website, and I didn't know anything about WordPress. So I just started out with making my place, my home on the internet at Google Plus, and I started using Google Plus to kind of introduce myself and get myself out there and build a little bit of an audience and a reputation. Then when I created my website, I already had a little bit of a connection network on Google Plus that I could say, hey, check out my website. So tell us a little bit about that, Jim. How important is the website today in terms of SEO and showing up in search results?
Well, it's almost like you say, I want to get a car and I want to travel, but I don't know how to drive. So you're going to go, let's get that part done first. Learn how to drive, then get the car and head out on the road and do whatever I want to do. So when people say, I need a website, quite often they aren't even sure what that is, how it happens, what's a good website, what's the right amount of money, who to hire. They have a ton of questions, and it's all very confusing because the lingo is so distant from what they already understand. They understand printed media. You hand out business cards, you hand out a brochure, and then you hand out a menu or a price list. If it's a restaurant, you want your menu circulated. You understand that part, but when you get onto the web, so much of what you have to do as an individual is plan it or figure out what you need without knowing answers. So the first part of that question really is, if you get involved in social media, you'll meet people, learn to trust some people, and then you can ask the questions that help you know what to do. So starting off just saying, I'm going to get a book, read it, put up a website, and I'll be happy, usually doesn't transpire that way. So I would say that the social media is more important than the website in the very beginning because you don't even really know what you need to do. As you learn, you say, now I know what to do, and I'm going to start off with a simple 3, 4, 5-page website, but then you realize you do need it, and you realize why you need it.
Wow, okay, so give us a couple of examples. That restaurant that you started off talking about, what might be a way that they can establish a presence on the web for their restaurant that would also tend to get them to come up in search results? And what can they do to, if somebody's searching restaurant in, Safety Harbor, what would the restaurant need to put out there to make them come up in the search results?
Well, part of the decision when you're doing that, specific example is a restaurant. Are you only a local restaurant, or do you have a lot of business people come through town and tourists come through town who look at Safety Harbor before they ever get here, and they're coming from Atlanta or Chicago? They're traveling through and they want to find restaurants when they're on vacation or when they're going to go business entertaining. They're coming into town. If your restaurant is really just for locals, you have to take a different viewpoint of what your website does. So that's where I say you got to educate yourself a little bit and decide what it is you need. If you're a hairdresser, the same thing, because not too many people travel 800 miles just to get their hair done. So you have to think, are you really a local business person? Or if you're a book author, for instance, you want to sell your book, it's on Amazon, you're worldwide. You can have the book shipped anywhere in the world if people decided they wanted your book. So that's a different perspective on what the website needs to do. Planning your business means time as well as money, and it could be that you need to hire somebody. So as you put this together, you say, if I select the right person, I don't have to know all the answers. They can do it. And that may be the real key to how you could get on with a website that is very valuable, because people want to know about you when they're doing business. Like, say, the restaurant. What are the prices? When are you open? Where are you located? What's your menu like?
That's a good point, because whenever I am thinking about going to a restaurant, I like to look them up online and see if I can find their menu, because I'm really wanting to eat vegetarian or vegan meals, and Pamela's probably similar. She's really into the healthy foods, and it's so important to be able to look at the menu and see before we go down there, right, Pamela?
Yeah, that's right. And I love your analogies, Jim. You really make it very easy to understand. I'm looking right now at, like, how do I reach my people, because I don't want to turn them off with the words plant-based, but the diabetics and people with heart problems, all that can really benefit. So it's like I don't want to put those words out there, but still, I mean, once they eat it, they love it, and they get really used to it and they see great results from it. But how do I go out there and reach the kind of people I want to reach without, what I'm talking about?
Oh, sure, sure. You need to say, number one, who's even going to pay attention to me? And if it's a bunch of college students who are just having fun, you don't care, because that's not going to help you do business. You want to find your audience that really wants to know what you have to say. Now, they may need some education before they understand that, or they may already have the education, they just haven't found you yet. So you have two different things to do there. The caution I would give you is, if you're going to go into video, which is what we're doing here today, is kind of how video would add to your business. If you design infomercials, a lot of people don't respond to those unless they're already in the mood to buy what you have. So you're not going to find too many new audience members if you do an infomercial. But if you go to groups that are looking for answers and you have those answers, they may invite you to speak. They may invite you to stop by and help a few people. And now you're getting in with a group of people that become your audience because of who you are, and they trust you. Now your message can get through a whole lot more clearly. And that may be more satisfying for your business at this point, because you don't have 5 books on this topic and you haven't been speaking at 15 organizations a year, with a national presence like some authors are out there with a big name. So once you get the bigger name, now you have other options and your website can be more powerful.
Now we have Catherine Simblem, who is watching and commenting on the event page. Hi, Catherine. And she says, social media is your marketing staff. Your website is your sales guy. Sometimes social media can do both, but usually not. And I like that. I kind of tend to agree with her. Social media is marketing. That's where you go out and you take stuff that's on your website and you post it around your socials. And you get them to come back to your website, because your website is where you have all the real estate you want to make that sale. You don't have just the, however many characters Twitter gives you, or one post over on Google+. But on the other hand, it's not just one post over on Google+, is it, Jim? Because you can actually create quite a presence on Google+. And we actually have an example we were talking about in the green room a little bit in Larry Fournier. Hi, Larry, who has done an amazing job of really creating a big name for himself and a following on Google+, and using YouTube and video marketing to do his cooking shows and his outreach. So tell us a little bit more about that, and what you think about that kind of statement, that social media is your marketing staff and your website's your sales guy.
Well, part of it is, and let's use Larry as an example, because he's been around as a businessman for a long time, and he's really taken advantage of the Google Plus YouTube connection. And just to take an aside here for a moment, the reason YouTube, Google Plus are a good combination is because they're owned by Google. And what you put into those in the way of work and effort into those properties, you will get back in search engine ranking, because it works better. They complement each other. So why not use the things that complement each other the best? And given that, Larry is an example of someone who's really focused on the social side of getting to know people, letting them know him, and giving away a lot of information in theory, but he's building the trust and building the recognition that makes the difference. So social is how you hear what the questions are that you need to answer. How you know if the answer is really finding a good audience. Then what do you do in response to that? Do you do more of this ingredient or that ingredient? And there we have a screen share of Larry's website, not his website, but his Google Plus profile. And I'd recommend people go take a look at how he's done his work, both with images and the information, the frequency, the content, and then watch who comments on what he puts up there. What do they say? What do they ask? And how does he include them in his extended network of people that enjoy the results of his recipes and advice? He thinks of great topics. He includes people. And that's a big part of, in his world, cooking is more about the people in the event, not just the food and how you dice the onion. So it's a way of blending what he knows and can do with his presence in social media. Other businesses simply need a website because they sell something. They sell a book. They sell nutritional supplements. They can ship things overnight, and you get to make your choices, and you never have to talk to a person. But when you get back over into something like cooking, or what Pamela does, people want to talk to a person. And social media becomes much more important when you have people that you need to connect with.
I want to also just kind of, before we go more on that topic, show Larry's YouTube page, because he really, as you said, does the videos marketing really well, and he does a lot of cooking hangouts, a lot of videos for recipes and things, and so he really makes use of YouTube and Google Plus to create his presence. So I just wanted to give people a chance.
Notice right now on the screen sharing, he's done playlists that help people find the content they want to see by the categories or topics that he's figured out really kind of get his material out to the right people.
Right.
So it's well organized.
All right. Great example. And Larry's been here for a while on Google Plus, and
Right.
he's now using, I believe, help outs and helping
Okay.
people with being a sort of a private virtual chef over
Now you
Google
have to
Help.
define a help out for people.
Oh, help outs are. Why don't you go ahead and do that? You're the special guest. See,
I've
I'm
never
propping
used
up.
one. I just know what they are, and I know people that do them and are very happy about that. But a help out is basically saying that I go through Google organization, I become qualified or certified by taking tests and doing a little bit of work to show that I'm the real person. I'm not just saying, like if I said I can teach you how to fix a car, you wouldn't get much out of that one because I don't really know how to fix cars very well. So Google would never have me go on what's called a help out. So these are people that have been vetted, but now for let's say $30 or $40 a half hour, you can have a one-on-one session with somebody using what we're doing now, and that is camera, microphone, and then question answer. So it's a one-on-one mentor or tutor depending on what the topic is.
Sorry, I'm multitasking here. I'm sending out a couple
Oh,
invites.
multitasking.
The host's job is never done. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about that. I would like to know a little bit about how you are using video in your marketing. You have some interesting projects that you're working on to kind of help people get used to using video as something that
Right.
helps improve their SEO. Tell us a little bit about the projects that you're working on.
Well, part of the history that I've gone through is that everything keeps changing. What we do today is going to change a year from now because everything seems to change. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all of them keep evolving because the people that come in and use them make things change, that evolution is true. But a business person doesn't like it so much because if they're planning a strategy and they're investing money, why do they want everything to keep changing on them? And that's where I get back to the strength of video. Video is something you can upload, and if it's a good video directed toward your audience or your business, it can work for you for the next 20 years. It can be valuable. Whereas blog posts and things that are on Facebook or Instagram and these other places can be something that lose their impact because your audience leaves them, they go away, and it's hard to reach your audience after another year or two. So instead of being temporary, why not do things as a business person that are more solid and you're building something? And the two things that I try to help people do with my project is build, number one, their reputation, which can last for 20 years, and their audience and business, which may be true, they may be doing this for the next 2, 3, or 4 years before they move on to something else or longer, but you still want your reputation. So you do things along two different pathways. One is, am I becoming more of a market expert, building my reputation? And am I also attracting people for my business because I have to pay the bills, I have employees, I need to make offers, I need to plan my business for the next 6 months or for the next Christmas season, whatever it is. So there's almost two pathways that I help people with, and that is, what are you doing to help your reputation over a period of long term? And then the period of short term is, how do you get through this season? How do you pay the bills? And that means, how do you get customers? So my project is helping people understand that if they do a video, they could use it for both purposes. Maybe not at the same upload, but they could use this video to build their reputation and another version of it to get customers to come buy their book if they're a book author.
So you can do both long term and short term. Now, are you talking about you can do both of those with one single video, for example, or by using different kinds of videos to attack both of those fronts?
Well, what I normally recommend as a strategic way to approach this, you're allowed to have as many YouTube channels as you want. And so you make a channel that says, these are people that need my stuff now. They need to solve a problem and I have an answer. Or they need to find out more and build their confidence in me as a provider of services or of those products. Money back guarantee, they can pick up the phone and call. All those things are important to doing business right now can be on a YouTube channel that gives the person or the group what they need to make their decision for the moment, because that's doing business. But when you want to build your reputation, you may say, I want to put things together that show that I'm connected to important people in the business. I've been around a long time. I've done these kind of things. They can find out good information from me and the people I know. So that's a little bit different story to tell. And if you mix them together, sometimes people can't find what they really want and they give up and they go away. So it now becomes important to decide what it is you really want to do. If you want to do both, it's almost like you need to upload two different places. One for a person that wants to have an answer now, instant gratification or similar to instant, and then others to say, why should they trust you? Why should they think of you in the future? And you can look at a lot of TV programs and actors. There are some actors that are paid a lot of money simply because if they're in the movie will be a big box office because they've already established their reputation.
Right.
The movie they're in now, they promote the movie they're in now, but they're not. That isn't their reputation, just the one single movie. They have a long career of a lot of different things they do. So people are interested in the reputation versus, hey, when's the movie coming out now and where do I go see it?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you say that because I was reading some article about the movie business recently, and they were talking about actors that, you know, the difference in some actors that they become like just leading Hollywood actors versus ones that could have become really leading A-list Hollywood actors but ended up just being working actors because they weren't as choosy about the roles they chose because they were just paying the bills. So there's that short-term getting through everything and paying the bills that they had racked up versus taking the luxury to choose the roles that they're going to be in, even if it didn't mean constantly working, but then the payoff was that they became a really big name and had that immediate draw at the end. So it's kind of an interesting analogy that you use there. And I want to say, before we go on, I want to say hi to Lon. Hi, Lon McClure. He says that you, Jim Ault, is a fountain of knowledge and an awesome explainer. And he's always joining us over in the comments. And hi, John.
Thank you for that.
Better late than never. Hope you're feeling better, John. And if anybody else out there has any questions, please go ahead and post them in the comments under the event listing. We'll get them answered. Or if you'd like to come join us inside the Hangout, just put a request there. We are a business networking Hangout. Love to have you join us. Pam, do you have any questions before we go any further?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. I've got a couple hundred videos out there on YouTube, and I'm just wondering how to get them out there in a bigger way. And then also Pinterest, is that connected with Google+?
Well, okay, first question about the videos. When you develop a YouTube channel, quite often you're using it and you're not exactly sure how you want to, so it's a work in progress. It evolves. And you may go down and look through that and say, if I was somebody who is a certain age group and looking for certain answers, would I like this channel or not? Is it helpful to me? And you go, but that's a big part of my audience, someone who wants a certain kind of material. And you say, I will take some of the uploads that I've done and move them to a channel that's named appropriately that helps my brand and my audience find the content that really suits them. And you may have a young as well as an older. Go ahead.
Could you have that video on two separate channels?
Sure.
Okay. How do you move it over there?
Well, normally what you've done is probably made a video and then uploaded it to YouTube.
Right.
So the video is on your hard drive. You say, well, I'll just go to another channel and upload it there.
Right. I've got
Same
some
process.
Hangouts too, so I think with Hangouts you can download it as an MP4.
Correct.
Yeah, you can download your Hangouts and then upload it again to another one if you want.
Right.
Tell us, what is the difference between a YouTube channel and a YouTube playlist, and how many channels can you have associated with your Google Plus account?
Well, it's kind of like two different questions, but it's the idea that, okay, if we start with the first one, you said how many YouTube accounts could you have? Well, I don't think there's a limit. I think what you have to establish is that you're a real person. They have to verify that you're doing something real and not just creating 10, 20, 30 fake accounts to play games with the system. So you can establish your business identity, and you may have more than one. You may be a book author, but you're also a speaker. And you also do other events that have to do with teaching and training, like webinars. So you may have 3 businesses that are 3 different things, 3 different profit centers. And as a result, you say, I need a channel for my new book or my trilogy that's coming out. So I get my fan base, and they're all buying my book, and I make my first $1 million. I don't have to do any more work. So to heck with all this YouTube stuff. But let's say that doesn't work out so well, and you do your speaking engagements. Well, people that book you for speaking want to know certain things, and they like the idea that you did a book, but they really want to know about you as a speaker. Then if you do teaching and training like webinars, you say, I know all this stuff, let me train. That's a different business. You need people to come to you to sign up for the webinar and then come back for repeat classes. Those are 3 different things, and that would not logically, in my mind, be 3 different YouTube channels. And then tying into your second question, Melanie, you'd say, I have a Google Plus profile about me, Jim Ault, but I'm now an author. I'm going to make a Google Plus page that I own, and that's going to be about my book on how to fix cars.
And that's a business
real
page.
Short channel, huh?
That's a business page you're talking about creating, not another separate personal profile.
Right. I own the business page, and I can have other people manage the page. I still own it and control it, but I could let other people manage it, so I don't have to do every little bit of that business page on Google+. Then that identity of a business, let's say it's Jim Shade Tree Mechanic, can have a connected YouTube channel that has to do with Jim's Shade Tree Mechanic, so that those 2 are a separate enterprise or a venture, and you can have other people work in that venture, do the YouTube work with you, then decide I also want to do something in cooking. Well, now I create another business page with other people involved, and I can have an attached YouTube channel. So video still works. You just don't have to put it in the same spot and have it all mixed together and then try to use what's called a playlist to separate it by what you think is a good topic. So the idea of moving video where it would do the most good is almost like having a shopping mall with stores. Instead of one big room, they have stores broken up into what would logically be a hardware store and then, a dress shop. So you're kind of doing the same thing in your head, even though it's all your control. You want to use the videos where they belong rather than just put them up one place and hope people find them.
Okay, so let me just summarize this. So you can have a Google profile, and then you can create any number of business pages through your Google profile as the owner of that business page, and then you can associate different YouTube channels with those pages. So you can create a different YouTube channel for your business pages, and then that way each entity sort of has its own presence, which serves a different purpose. Those 3 different purposes you used in your examples. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It may sound like a lot of work, but it actually makes your life a lot easier in 6 months to a year when you get too many things going on in one place. People get confused and they just leave. They don't do business with you because they aren't sure what business you're in.
Okay. All right, so that sounds like a really good way to do it, and that answers my question, versus just creating different playlists, because playlist isn't so much creating its own separate presence. And now let's relate that back to SEO. How does that relate in terms of search if people are searching for each of those different topics, the fact that you have a different channel versus a different playlist, that is an advantage in the search results?
Well, for instance, if you were a dancer, a singer, and a songwriter, and you want to become really well known as a songwriter in the search engines, having a lot of material about dancing and singing wouldn't let the search engines know you were really a good songwriter. They say, well, you're kind of good at everything, but how can you be as good as a real songwriter? That's all they do, and they're prolific, they're famous, they've won awards. You've got to compete. So if you give yourself multiple identities, how do the search engines know which one to give you the most credit for? Then how do you compete against somebody who's a dancer and that's all they do? They're a composer, that's all they do. So in the competition of search engines, what is it you really want to get? And by separating, so you clearly identify yourself in one category as a songwriter, you can get full credit for being a songwriter. Then you come over to a different channel, you can get full credit for being a dancer and then a singer. It helps the search engines and social media get to identify you in their thinking, so when they come to find a dancer, they do find you and they see you as a dancer.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I love the way that you're explaining things. Thank you. So now I want to go back to questions. And Catherine's got a great question. I'm trying to share it on my screen, but my screen share isn't working. So I'm just going to read it out. Sorry, Catherine. She says, "Hi, Jim. Have a question for you, and perhaps you can save my marriage in the process. My husband is a big fan of keyword stuffing when he does behind-the-scenes meta SEO. Personally, I hate it, ugly, ick. But it's my understanding that the whole keyword thing is kind of passé, except that, drat him, his websites always end up on the first pages of search engines. So sounds like it might be working. Where does meta stand nowadays?"
Well, part of the idea of keyword stuffing in the early days when it worked the best was that you got credit for mentioning the keyword. And let's say you sold cookies and you had chocolate chip cookies and oatmeal cookies and one other style of cookie. Pick your favorite. The idea is that you would like those cookies to be at the top of the Google search because people are going to click and they're going to buy your cookies. As a result, you care about traffic, just flat out traffic. We don't care what the people really wanted. They go, ooh, cookies, I'll click on that, because people like cookies. They want to go look at the picture. They want to think about, wow, I would like some cookies. Sounds good. So if you're in the right category, like cookies, and if you use enough words, that would give you a higher ranking than somebody who just said, yeah, I bake cookies. Call me. I'll let you know what I have. Well, the search engines can't do much with that little phrase. So by stuffing the keywords, you used to get a lot of distance between you and your nearest competitor. Now, these days, in some categories, the keyword stuffing got to be so outrageous that it no longer counts anymore because everybody was doing it, and Google says our search engines are going to ignore it now because we didn't find the right people. Depending on the category, it could be that if you started keyword stuffing and you gained your credibility, your authority, even though Google ignores the keywords, you still have a lot of credibility. You've been around a long time, you have a good record, you give a lot of good information. There are a lot of other reasons why you're still number one. So rather than just throw it all out and say forget keyword stuffing, do some testing and find out if you put up a brand new website if that's still true. It looks as though in this case you're not suffering a penalty. What happens is when somebody starts brand new and they think keyword stuffing is going to get them to the top and they don't do anything else. That's where you see the biggest difference. If you don't do anything else, you may not be able to hold your position even if you're able to get there. So unless you do testing, you're not going to know the correct answer. And this applies, to everything across the board. You can find all sorts of businesses that, hey, keyword stuffing works. Over here it doesn't. Or 400 people do it, and over here only 2 people do it. If you had a flower shop and you wanted to compete with flowers.com, lots of luck. They've been around a long time. You're going to have a real tough time no matter what keyword you use, no matter how many you stuff. It doesn't matter because flowers.com or 1-800-Flowers have been around so long, they're at the top of the list because they've gotten there, they've earned it, and they've maintained it. That's a very competitive area. Same thing with pet food, pet supplies. Very difficult to compete against Purina for number 1 in Google. But if you're in a lot of other areas where it's much more competitive on a low level, that's when you get into several techniques, and rather than just say one of them is bad or terrible or doesn't work, you need to test it first, because it's kind of rash to just assume something and then plan your business around an assumption. I'd rather test it, and then you would know. So I don't know if that saves your marriage or not.
Oops. That's funny. Well, she says, gotcha. So I think that was a great answer. And basically, again, to summarize, if you were saying that if you were in the right category, back in the day, all you cared about was traffic. And by stuffing the keywords, that put a lot of distance between you and your competition, because you would get that traffic and then they would see what you have. But these days, the search engines might ignore it. But if you've been doing it a long time and you've established your reputation already, you've built up your credibility, you still might have some longevity based on it because the search engines already recognize you as good quality. Is that kind of correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The search engines are looking and saying, if you're looking for chocolate chip cookies and you want to buy them online, they say, well, these are the people that seem to be the best rated based on who searches, how long they stay on the site, do they go back, are people complaining about it, are they getting good reviews. There are a lot of things that add up to the whole formula, especially if you're a local business and you have less than 10 reviews. You're missing something in their calculation, because they say, well, somebody with 15 good reviews is way ahead in wedding photography, or a mechanic who has a shop and he's got all these good reviews. He'll go way ahead of the local competition because he has the reviews and no one else does. So some of those metrics really make the difference. They tip the scale more than you'd think.
Okay. All right. We are at 9:43 a.m. So this is actually the time when I want to encourage anybody who has last-minute questions, wants to come in. This would be the time to let me know and get your invite in and ask those questions, because we are going to be kind of going into the home stretch here. Pamela, do you have anything else?
I do. I'd like to learn just a little bit more about the help out. It's the first time I've heard about that, and if you could say more about that, that'd be great.
Well, a help out is a special category. If I want to be a help out person who made some money, I would go to Google and apply. And they would look at my record to see if I was worthy of being a help out in what I would do. And they would say, okay, but now you got to take some tests, you got to go through some hoops, we got to verify, and you got to qualify, then you're in the group. Now when you go to the help outs area, you choose what you want to be in. This is my category. I help people learn to write better on a blackboard when they're presenting their presentation. That's my specialty. So they would put me in a category, and if somebody wanted to hire me, they would arrange with me for a time slot. I would connect with them using video, just like we're doing here, and it'd usually be one-on-one. I think they may have some groups. And now we would go through some sort of a question answer. They could ask questions, or I could teach them something, and we'd set it up for maybe a half hour, maybe an hour. And then if everything went well and I got a good rating, Google wouldn't kick me out, and I could keep going. And I get paid some money. But that's all set up with Google. And here we have a screen share. Get help from an expert. And Google vets the experts pretty carefully. And then you have to keep doing things every month to maintain your status.
It sounds like Thumbtack in a way. Thumbtack is similar to that.
Could be.
And then also Pinterest, is Pinterest part of that?
No, Pinterest is a totally separate private, that's what you might call third party, but they're like Facebook and the others. They have their own organization. They make their own decisions.
Right, but it's like Instagram is owned by Facebook, I understand, and I thought Pinterest had some association with Google.
Not that I know of.
Yeah, okay.
Now, Google does go in and index the pins that people put on their boards and says, here's what people are saying about those pins. So if you put up a pin and there's some sort of content there, like you put in your keyword stuffing, since we just got onto that, you could keyword stuff a pin and hopefully maybe it'll do something for you. Somehow I doubt it. If you're over on Pinterest, you put in a bunch of keywords like chocolate chip cookie, chocolate chip cookie, chocolate chip cookie, chocolate chip cookie. It may not make any difference for you in the search engines, but...
Well, there's something on Google Plus where they say pin it, and I'm not sure what that is. So
it's the way of
you can pin your Google Plus posts to Pinterest. For example, on my Pinterest page, I actually have a board for the TGIF Business Networking Hangout, and it's just kind of a preference. That way, if people come to this event page and they see this one, I don't put a list of every past event URL on my event page. However, I do have a Pinterest board where they can go and they can see all the past TGIFs, look at all the topics, and because Pinterest is, so awesome. I love Pinterest. I love the layout that they give. It makes it real easy for them to, at a glance, look at what all those topics for those TGIFs are about, and they can actually play the video right on the Pinterest board. But they can also click through, and I have it click through either to the event page or to my website if I've updated
they could watch the full 1 hour show on your Pinterest board?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. How do I find that? Do I just go to Pinterest in your name?
Yeah, just search me on Pinterest, and you'll find it, and you'll see it in my boards.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And I believe I have the link also in my event listing description.
Okay.
The links to my Pinterest board.
Now, are you known as the real Melanie McDonald?
What do you mean?
On Pinterest? Did somebody already take your name and you had to go with the real Melanie?
It's my Pinterest URL is pinterest.com/Melanie M, because it didn't give me enough characters to put my whole name. My name is too long, so I had to go with Melanie M. But if you search my name, Melanie McDonald, you'll still see my stuff because I put my name a lot in my posts.
Right.
In case people are searching.
Right. Well, to kind of, we're in kind of the home stretch here. Can I use my little video thing I did to sort of present sort of an overview of the 4 things we're going to talk about, and that is YouTube, your web page, Google+, Pinterest.
Yes, please do.
How they sort of tie together. And it's kind of like a keyword thing here. I stuffed it with some keywords. We're running that theme, aren't we? Haha. What I'm going to do is share my screen, which is cooperating here. Yes, it is. And hopefully pop up. And if I'm pinned, I don't know if everybody can see that right now. And at this moment, it looks like there's nothing there. But you can see that what I'm doing is giving you an idea that we have YouTube, we have your web page, we have Google+, and we have Pinterest. These 4 work together very well because YouTube and Google+ are owned by Google. YouTube has its own search engine. Google+ has its own search engine. Google Search likes to go into YouTube and find out what's there. Google Search likes to go into Google+ and find out what's there. So if you're doing a good job on YouTube and Google+, you're doing a lot to help you move up in the rankings or get found by people that already like you, know you, etc. So those are two properties, and you see your web page is right in between there. Those three working together are very powerful. And then we have Pinterest. The reason I like Pinterest is because it has a lot of people that use enthusiasm to pin and repin. And so if we look at the next part, you want to use YouTube to build your resume. You may also want to use it to attract visitors because they do immediate business, but your resume is your reputation. And then we may come in and say you want to showcase other people. And that's an important concept in social media. You want to spend time talking about other people because that makes you more of a market expert. It connects you with a larger audience, and now you attract more visitors, and of course you build your resume. Now we come in here to the last one here. I'm going to say the multi-channel. Remember we talked about more than one channel if your business warrants that. And I think in most cases that's true, so you should consider how you could use multiple channels because the search engines will reward you for telling them clearly that you're an expert in some area, or that people like you in certain areas, or that other people you're showcasing think you're important. It's flying with the eagles. So this is where YouTube kind of builds you that base to keep growing. The next part I'm going to do here is that on your website you show videos. You put them on your web page, and those videos are existent on YouTube in more than one channel. So your web page could bring videos in from more than one YouTube channel. And now you're getting credit for discussing the video, discussing the content, writing good blogs. The next part is that you post stories to your web page that refer back to the videos and your content. Success stories, for instance. Another category is that you want to feed Google what it likes. Keyword stuffing, if that's what really works. You want to feed it images, other things that let them know you're important. So this is how we're doing a lot of content. So we attract visitors. As we come through, we also say now we are going to pin videos, pin posts, and I'll just finish the last couple here. We pin stuff from others, and that's again the important part is you want to pin what other people talk about. So the infographic is your chance to summarize things. So if you pin your videos and videos of other people, pin your posts and posts of other people, pin what other people are interested in, or what you like about other people. This is a mixing and melting pot that you don't really get on Google Plus or YouTube or your web page because it tends to be about you and your business. But Pinterest lets you now connect and talk about other people you like. And that's a different way of looking at how you interact in social media. And this, I can't really emphasize enough that when you talk about other people, they like it and they pay attention to you in return. And if they have a large audience, the people that like them tend to come over and pay attention to you. So this is how you can grow your reputation and grow your immediate business. So Pinterest has a unique spot in this grouping of 4. It allows you to pin your own videos, your blogs from your web page, your e-commerce store if you want, and then on G+, you can be doing your thing with posts to get into the search engines. Then on Pinterest, you can bring it all together and bring other people around you that you want to have next to you, either fellow book authors, people that also do cooking shows, and as a result, you end up building everything about your business to be very positive. This, I think, is going to work for a long time to come. It's not going to vanish a year from now when there's some new social media thing that comes on. This is a combination or a recipe that I think is something you can invest in, and it'll keep giving you rewards for at least 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So that's a pretty long-term solution. I think it's going to be longer than that, but of course things always change. So that's my little summary presentation that kind of gives you the bullet points in a way that says you'll be rewarded if you do the job the right way from the beginning.
Now, Jim, that was a great little video summary. Are we going to find that on your Pinterest boards or posted on Google+?
Well, it's supposed to be a secret recipe, so probably not, because otherwise everyone will do it. This is for your business club, right? Isn't that the idea? It's for your business club and private. We don't tell anybody else. It's our secret formula, secret weapon, and some form of this will be on my Pinterest boards when I do the rollout. January, February this year is when I really want to get more involved in promoting my own business. I usually help everyone else figure out what to do. I've been doing that for years. And I've done a lot of research on techniques that work. I've seen it work very quickly in video if you do the right kind of video. But sometimes people just point the camera, they talk a little bit, and then they wonder why no one likes them. So pay attention to where you want to go with the video.
Okay. And in the meantime, well, if you want to review that great little video presentation, you'll just have to come back to TGIF.
That's right. And where can they find it?
Yeah. you
can they find it on your Pinterest board?
You can find it first on TGIF.
And then Melanie M, when she'll have it on her Pinterest board, right?
Yes. And my TGIF board's on Pinterest. Let's see. Looking to see if there's any more questions real quick. I don't see any. Okay, we are at 9:56. So this is the time that we start saying our final thoughts and upcoming promotions. Pamela, let's start with you again if you are there. Give us any final thoughts, final questions, and
I am here.
And tell us about your upcoming events. And when are your Hangouts on?
Okay. Yeah, I just took my camera off, darn. Anyway, I have a 6-week series coming up called How Your Food Affects You and Your World. And so it's going to be Pacific time, 11 o'clock on Wednesday, starting on January 14th through February 18th. And yeah, I got some really amazing people coming on board. So if anybody wants to be notified about that, just put a comment out to me and I'll make sure that you hear about it when it gets closer.
Okay, and could you please put links to where people can find info of that in the event listing for anybody who's listening and interested in wanting to go there? And Pamela's just awesome, so I love her stuff. Just want to say that.
Thanks, it was great to be here.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you come in. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Jim? Any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with, or upcoming promotions?
Well, I'm not going to be promoting anything today because I have something I'm rolling out here over the next probably month and a half, and there'll be more to say later on. But the idea is that I know a lot of people who watch you may have questions. They can certainly, ask you or ask me directly. It's the idea that I'm willing to share the information. I may not put it on Pinterest for the world to know, but basically there are things to think about, and if you strategize properly and work through the issues that have to do with camera, microphone, and everything else, you will be rewarded. So I hope people do pencil in a little bit of time to think about that strategy of making good videos. And of course look at Larry's site, because Larry has such a good example there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest today. Lots of great information, as always, lots of helpful stuff. We have a final comment from Desert Vibe Web, who says that keyword stuffing is not a recommended technique. And so more input on the keyword stuffing. Thank you so much, Jim, for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you in, and you are one of the most helpful people that I've met. And I got to say that having met you early on Google Plus here has been kind of instrumental in me getting out there and using Hangouts and creating video lessons and workshops for my club members. because of the encouragement that you gave me and what I learned from you, and also from Domingo Rogers, who was doing the collectors hangout for a while. I don't know if he's still doing that.
That was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
He's doing well, he has his own job, and then he also does video work in real life. So he doesn't have time anymore to be doing the hangout stuff. He got successful at other things. So hopefully he'll come back on someday and get the collectors hangout going again. But that was good, and I'm glad you stuck with it.
Yeah, and I think he left some broken hearts behind when he had to stop doing the collectors hangout. That was a pretty popular show.
We had fun with that one. Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So, okay, and I'm Melanie MacDonald, your host. Thank you for joining us today. The next episode of TGIF is going to be on Friday, January 16th, 2 weeks from today. My special guest is going to be Jeffrey X. Lane, who is all about public speaking. I just took a course from him called the Essentials of Public Speaking, and it was really good. So I'm really excited to have him come on and talk about tips for public speaking, how being a public speaker is great for your business. And this is whether you are as a staff, an employee who is doing presentations for maybe your board or your people in the boardroom, or you're just a solopreneur or own your own business and you're giving presentations out to the community, you're going to networking mixers, you're doing speaking gigs, or you plan to be a paid speaker. So he's got a lot of great information for you on how public speaking can help promote your business. Now, my promo is for Wednesday, January 7th. That is the next date for the first Blooming Business Club, Melani's Blooming Business Club workshop of the year. The monthly workshops. This year's focus, last year in 2014, it was all about kind of principles of social media marketing, how to make a great post, how to make it interesting to your audience. And this year in 2015, we're going to focus on audience building. So the topic is going to be Google Plus circles and how to work with circles to find and build relevant audiences. And a lot of times people think it means just trying to get other people to circle you, but no, I'm talking about building up your own circles, because that's really important. People don't realize that, you know, you have to add people to your circles and be out there and looking at what they're posting and commenting on what they're posting. But also think about it this way: when you make a post, if you're posting it to public and it shows in the public stream, I mean, how many people on Google Plus are posting to public? So how much time is it going to actually show in somebody's stream before it moves down? But when you have a lot of people in your circles and you're posting to public and to your circles and to your extended circles, which is to the people in your circles plus all the people in their circles, it has more chance of showing up in more people's eyeballs area of their streams, where they're going to have an opportunity to see your post, and you're going to have that opportunity to say, hey, look what I'm presenting, and I hope you find it useful, and get more interactions. So building up your own circles is just as important in audience building as providing good quality posts. If you're interested in that, hit me up with an instant message, send me an email, and I'll give you some details on how you can join in that workshop. Have a great day, everybody. Happy New Year. Woo, woo, woo. 2015 is going to be a great year. Bye-bye.
I'm looking forward to it. Bye-bye.